Alright, ladies and gentlemen, here is Virtual Besh, and we're going to get right to this building equations from word problems. Some of you are doing awesome, and some of us, unfortunately, cannot hit water from a boat. So now, the thing you need to remember with this, if you are struggling with building your equations, these word problems cannot be done by just simply reading the question and guessing the answer. They can't be done that way. And the second thing is, anytime you do an equation, please look at your answer and see if it makes sense before you submit it. So now we're going to take a look at 3 examples by requests from students. The first one of these is very basic. I'm starting here because these are the easiest type to do. The first thing you need to do after you read the question is ask yourself, what are you trying to find? Because what you're trying to find is x. Now, there are 3 numbers involved in this math problem. When you're setting up 2-step equation word problems, one of the numbers is either multiplied to x or divided from x. One of the numbers you either add or subtract to this value, and then finally one of your values is what the total or what it is equal to. And here's an important hint. Identify the number that's next to or associated with the word per, because this number is the one that is used more than just once. This is going to be the value that's associated with the variable. So in this problem, since it costs $10 per class, and since you only buy a yoga mat once, and your total paid is $139.95, then this is what your equation will look like. Since x represents the number of classes, because that's what I'm trying to find, and 10 represents how much every single class works, then my equation looks like 10x plus the cost of the yoga mat equals $139.95, which is my total. So now I just simply take 1995 away from both sides of the equation. It leaves you with 10x equal to 120. Then all you have to do is divide both sides by 10 and x equals 12. So the answer to the question is the number of yoga classes the person took was 12 classes. Alright, so by request of a number of students, what we're going to do is work our way backwards through an average problem. Yes, I said average because the word mean in mathematics means just that. The problem's gist is you're taking 5 quiz scores, we know 4 of them, and you're adding them up, you're dividing by 5, and you are going to get an answer that is 84, because that's what you'll want. So when you're solving an equation, you always work your way backwards. So think to yourself, what is the opposite of dividing by 5? Oh, yes, multiplying by 5. So what we want to do is we want to build an equation, and here is how it looks. Now, the first equation that you see, x plus 332 divided by 5, represents x being the 5th quiz that we do not know. 332 are the 4 numbers in the problem. 77, 89, 93, and 73 added together. And all of this equals 84 on the other side. The first step of this equation, simply put, is to do the opposite of dividing by 5, which is multiplying by 5. So the second part of my equation, you get x plus 332 on the left, and 84 times 5 gives you 420 on the right. And now, finally, all we got to do is take 420 and subtract 332 from it, and we get 88. Now, in the beginning of this video, one of the things I made very clear was to check your answers and make sure they make sense. This is a great part, because everybody that we have in class knows how to find the average. Take the 4 numbers they give you in the math problem. Take your answer that you got. Take 77, add it to 89 and 93 and 73, and then add 88. Divide it by 5, and if you get 84, you have a winner. If you don't, you don't. So if you're doing this and you're submitting your answers, don't submit an answer that's incorrect, because that just tells me, the teacher, you didn't check your work. All right. Now, these are the easiest ones there are. These were requested by a few students, and I had me scratching my head a little bit. First off, that is a rectangle or rectangular shape, and they're talking about this term perimeter. If you know what the perimeter is, that means this problem is, simply put, you are going to add up the 4 sides that this shape has. Now, the 4 sides are algebraic expressions. You know, because it is rectangular in shape, that the top is same as the bottom, and the left side is the same as the right. So step number 1, work your way around this guy and add up all the x's that you have. Then add up all the numbers that don't have a variable, and now you know they have to equal 24, because that is the overall value of the perimeter. So here we go. So now the equation that I have here represented first starts with 6x. How I got 6x's is because if there are 2 x's on the bottom, there has to surely be 2 x's on the top. And if there is 1 x on the right, there has to be 1 on the left. So 1 plus 1 plus 2 plus 2 adds up to be the 6 x's. And the same thing goes for the plus 6 next. There is a 0 on the bottom and a 0 on the top. You know, numbers that do not have variable. But on the right, there's a 3. That means on the left, there has to be a 3. So 3 plus 3 gives us 6. And then from here, it's just a simple 2-step equation to solve. Take 6 away from both sides. That gives you 18. Divide both sides by 6. You end up getting the value of x being 3. And that is that. Building these equations makes these problems simple. But that's the key. You gotta take your time to build these equations. You can't just look at them and hope and think that you're going to see the answer, because as the level of mathematics starts to increase, the challenge level of what's required of you by simply taking and planning and strategizing becomes so much more necessary. This is Mr. Besh, over and out.